welcome to a special edition of the Winning Daily Podcast. We did our bracket show on Monday. Today we're going to do our pick show. We're going to go through all the first round matchups and pick every one of those, throw in some futures in here, and then give our best bets for the weekend. So Dynamite David is with me this time. Are you ready, Dynamite, to get into the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I've only got a couple futures. I'm sure you've got a laundry list, but I'm excited to get to pick all of the first round games.
All right. I do have a handful of futures, probably not as many as we did on the Super Bowl, but there are a handful in here. No cross sports props for me on this, sadly.
Maybe save that for the championship game.
Maybe so. All right, let's get into the futures right off the bat. Let's get into the NCAA tournament champions. Do you have any NCAA tournament champions you wanted to bet on?
Well, I don't think the value's there for Gonzaga. Maybe a little bit of value for Illinois. I really like this Illinois team. But I think there's, Iowa and Alabama are solid picks at plus 2,000, I think. Alabama's got a favorable route to the Final Four, I think. I have them losing in the Elite Eight, but I think Alabama's a solid team, and just get a couple things bounce their way, they could be right there at plus 2,000.
Yeah, I did like the Illinois at 5-1. I thought there was a little bit of value there, considering they probably will not be an underdog until they get to Gonzaga. So, I mean, I thought there was a little value in the 5-1. That second round matchup is making me more and more nervous. However, when they get to Loyola Chicago, I just that seems to be a rivalry game and something the tournament committee really wanted bad. So we have something to watch over the weekend. I'm on an SEC team. I'm on Arkansas at 60-1. I think their route is semi-easy. I mean, it's not easy, but I thought they were playing the best of the SEC teams towards the end there.
Well, I was just looking online. I think the most bet upset right now is Colgate over Arkansas. So be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, I know. I just don't know what to make of that Colgate team. They beat a lot of Patriot League teams. If they had some, sort of outside, even if it was small schools outside, but to only play Patriot League competition, and sometimes they played some teams like 3 times in a row. So I don't know what to make of the Colgate, and I think Arkansas is way better than people think. And lastly, I have my St. Bonnie's. 250-1, my boys. For Bob Lanier, the St. Bonaventure's Bonnies are going to do it.
Boy, that'd be a Cinderella story for sure.
It would be. All right. So any futures coming out of the East, South, Midwest that you liked?
No, other than those championships picks, I've only got one more futures, and that's my player.
Yeah, I got the East, St. Bonaventure's plus 3,000. 2 real ones I really liked was the South. North Carolina was plus 1,000. Arkansas was plus 1,000. I think both me and you had that Baylor upset to North Carolina, but even if it isn't North Carolina, if it's a Wisconsin team, that's a really tough matchup for Baylor either way. So I liked the odds there on North Carolina and Arkansas. And really, in the Midwest, I thought Houston was undervalued as like the 3rd or 4th favorite at plus 500. I think they got a little lost. People hadn't watched them, so I don't think they realized that they are probably the best defensive team in the bracket.
Houston's one of 4 teams in this tournament that it's in KenPom top 20 in both offense and defense.
Yeah, I just think people haven't watched them play, and they don't realize that they're going to squeeze the life out of pretty much anyone. And they have a real coach in Kelvin Sampson. Baggage aside, he's been to a Final Four, so it's not like it's some run-of-the-mill guy running Houston there. Let's get into your MVPs. What do you have for player of the tournament?
Well, I'm a big fan of Gonzaga, and I've got to go with Jalen Suggs. I think if Gonzaga.
Yeah, we are on the same wavelength there.
That plus 1,300 on, the best. I think he's the best player on their team, and I think if they run the table and finish this undefeated season, he will be the MVP of the tournament.
Yeah, I saw a lot of value in the Jalen Suggs at plus 1,300. If the Zags run it, the only problem really I see with it is there are about 4 or 5 Zags who could have one of those days, in the Final Four, and you're like, oh, okay.
MVP is not all stats; it's also just recognition too. I think, and I
Yes.
think that's where I think he's the star of the team, so he's going to get that TV value.
Yeah, I had two others. I was looking at Cade Cunningham at plus 3,400. If Oklahoma State can make a run here,
They'd
he's
have to get past Illinois.
yes. But if they got past Illinois, my guess is Cade Cunningham would be heavily involved in it. So I thought there was a little value there, and I'm going to continue on my Arkansas train and Moses Moody at plus 4,000. If Arkansas makes the run, it's probably because Moses is doing things. So plus 4,000 I thought was pretty good. I had a couple other futures. You said you were out. To make the Final Four, North Carolina was plus 1,400. I thought there was really good value there. I really like the 15 seed to beat a 2 seed. No, minus 125 to get even value on that. I just don't like the matchups this year for the 15-2. So I don't really think there is one.
There's one I like, and we'll get to it in a little bit. A shot.
A shot. And I had a couple of best finishing positions. Creighton minus 115 versus Villanova. I think we both think Villanova is in a lot of trouble in that Winthrop game. Oklahoma State, even money versus West Virginia. West Virginia probably has a really tough matchup versus San Diego State in that second round. And Gonzaga, only minus 155 versus Baylor to finish better. So I liked that one as well. All right. Are you ready to pick every March Madness first round game?
I'm excited. Let's get through it.
All right. I already picked my first four play-in game, whatever the hell they want to call it. Do you want to get into your play-in game picks here?
Yeah, I'll take them. I've actually written a few of them, but I'll go through all of these really quick. I'm going to take Mount St. Mary's -1 versus Texas Southern. I'm going to go with – I really like Wichita State here, +2 over Drake. I'm actually taking that money line. Already got my bet in on that. I think Wichita's going to win big.
Yes, definitely.
I like this App State team, -3.5. And then finally, you know who I'm going with. It's my conference. I got to go with Michigan State Spartans -2.5 versus UCLA to finish off my first four.
The one thing I wanted to do was take the under in that game. I don't think there's any chance these two teams hit 135 combined points unless they go into like quadruple overtime or something.
I think looking at it, what makes me want to lean the Spartans here is just the upside. When both of these teams are playing their best, like Michigan State is playing, they have weird moments where they're all of a sudden look like one of the best basketball teams in the country. And I think that might show here in the first four, maybe get them a round or two into the tournament, but that'll be it.
Yeah. All right. So that's our first four. If you want my first four, I picked every one of them on Winning Daily today. So you can watch the non-special edition show. All right, let's get into the actual first round. Let's start out with Virginia Tech and Florida. Florida is a 1-point favorite. Where are you leaning on this one?
I'm a big fan of Florida here. I think if all their players are healthy, I think they should be able to take care of business here in this first round. Virginia Tech looked really good early on in the year, and they've kind of fizzled out as we got later into the season. So I like Florida here.
Yeah, the line made me want to take Florida here at -1. I don't think it'd be one of my best bets just because sometimes I don't know what's coming out of either one of these teams. I guess Florida finished a little better at the end of the season, but it's just a weird matchup to kick us off. You spoke about it earlier. Arkansas, Colgate getting a lot of random love. I don't think Donald Foyle's coming out of retirement to come play for Colgate again, but Arkansas, 8.5-point favorites. Where are you going with this one?
I'm not going with the public here. I'm going with Arkansas, which I mean, I think most people are going with Arkansas. Colgate's just the most bet upset, but I really like Arkansas here, and I think they're going to win double digits.
Yeah, I usually ride for the Patriot League, but that's usually when Bucknell comes through, and Bucknell didn't come through this year. It's a Colgate team. I just don't think they can cover this. I really like this Arkansas team, so I'm riding with Arkansas -8.5 as well. All right, we go to the Colonial Big Ten matchup. very large spread. This is where it gets tricky. How much will Illinois play? How much will Illinois care? How much will Drexel care? 22.5 for the Fighting Illini. Where are you leaning here?
I think this is, well, no, Baylor's a bigger favorite. I was going to say this might be one of the biggest favorites, but I'm actually going to stick with Illinois minus the 22.5 here. I really, you get to that 20, I almost want to take the 16s, but I think this is one that could be a 40-point game here.
Yeah, I think Illinois can score with such ease that this thing probably hits 30. Drexel is not very good. The Colonial was really, really down this year, and they also didn't play very many games. Maybe they're fresh. I don't know, but Illinois, 22.5. I'm going to stick with that one. I think this next one's probably our first tricky one coming up here. Utah State, Texas Tech. I think we were both very torn on this game a little bit. Texas Tech, 4-point favorites. Which way are you leaning?
I think you know which way I'm leaning. I got on this. It's moved a point since I got on it, like when the tournament was first announced. But our mutual odds, I like Utah State +4 versus Texas Tech. I got it at +5 when the teams were announced. But I like this Utah State team. They're scrappy, solid defense. I hope they can score enough points to keep up with Texas Tech, but I like getting the 4 here. I think it's going to be a tough fought game.
Yeah, I ended up leaning with Utah State here. I just think it's probably – I think this will be a down-to-the-wire game. So, you might get ruined by free throws there at the end, but I think you got a tight game. And if you're going to get a tight game, you're probably better off taking the points. And I don't think there's really much difference here between Utah State and Texas Tech either. So I'm going with points here and Utah State +4. All right. Oral Roberts, Ohio State. Ohio State, 15.5-point favorites. What way are you going here?
Well, you remember what we were talking about earlier when you took no 2 seeds to lose? Don't sleep on Oral Roberts. I'm telling you.
Is this because you called Oral Roberts to make a run in the Summit League tournament? Have you become an Oral Roberts fan?
Okay.
Have you traded in your Rice fandom for Oral Roberts fandom?
During the regular season, this Oral Roberts team played 5 Power Conference games, 5 Power 5 conference games. Now, they lost every one of them, but they only lost 1 by double digits. This team played Oklahoma State to 5, and they've got the number 1 scorer in the country on Oral Roberts. I think they may get enough to stay within this 15.5. I think I'm going to take Oral Roberts plus the 15.5.
Yeah, I don't think there could be an upset here, but I'm with you here. I think Oral Roberts easily stays in this number at 15.5. The Summit League is actually a pretty solid basketball league too. So there's solid competition in there. And Ohio State tends to have a very, very hard problem holding leads. So that's very scary in a tournament situation.
Yeah, and this Ohio State team really limped into this 2 seed. If they hadn't, I honestly don't think they're deserving of their 2 seed. I think they're more of a 3. But Oral Roberts can really score the ball, and I think that's going to be enough to keep it in that window.
Now, do you make all your tournament picks based on teams with birds of prey mascots? Owls and ospreys, you're very, very big on the birds of prey. All right, we're going to Hartford and Baylor.
You're going to have to go dig that up. All my picks by mascots.
Yes. See how many birds of prey you randomly select throughout. Baylor, -25. Hartford, +25. Baylor could easily cover this number, but it's a very, very large number.
Yeah, I hate doing this. I'm gonna stick with Baylor. They shoot the 3 ball better than anybody in the country, and I think they're just going to blow this team away.
Yeah, I'd be more willing to make a wager on the first half than probably the end. 25 is just so much, and I mean I expect by 15 minutes left in the second half, I
bench.
don't think we're seeing any of Baylor's top players. Now, that being said, Hartford is really, really bad, and the tail end of good college basketball teams. So really, really poor team here. So the 25 is a little weird, but I probably lean Baylor minus the 25, but expect this to end up being like a 23-point win. I would not bet on this game ever in my life. All right, the fun one, 8-9, Loyola, Chicago, Georgia Tech. Loyola -6 now with the news that Georgia Tech's best player is not playing. So where are you going with the -6 here?
Yeah, I was driving home from work today, and I hear that Moses Wright is out for this game due to COVID reasons. Now, I was a big supporter of Georgia Tech. I actually picked them in our bracket show to win this game, but those have not locked in yet. So I actually logged on really quick, swapped that to Loyola Chicago, because without Moses Wright, Georgia Tech's a completely different team. He's averaging almost 18 points a game and I think 8 rebounds a game. They're going to be missing a huge part of their production, and Loyola is going to come out and take care of business. They're hungry for that matchup with Illinois. They're going to get it. They're going to win big.
Yeah, I still want to ride Georgia Tech here with a +6, even without their best player. I just
Trusting in Pastner, huh?
Yeah. I don't know if I'd go that far. I just think Loyola Chicago probably they tend to play close games versus these big-time teams. So I think it'll still be close. That 6 just seems like a really, really large number. I think I'd like something more like 4, but the possibility of a blowout in Georgia just packing it in really, really is there. All right, we're going to go to the local side. Tennessee -8.5 versus Oregon State. Do we trust Rick Barnes to get it done, at least in the first round here?
Yes, but not by 8.5. I'm going to take Oregon State plus the 8.5. I think this is close. I think it's going to be about a 5 or 6 point game. If it had been 6, I could see taking Tennessee, but 8.5 is just a little too much for that Tennessee offense, I think.
Yeah, there's too many things going against on. 1, Rick Barnes tournament history. 2, Oregon State is semi-hot right now, theoretically speaking. So I just see a muck-up game, and 8.5 just seems like a whole lot of points.
Yeah, I think I saw something, and I don't know if it's accurate or not, where Rick Barnes is 1-10 against teams seated lower than him.
I could probably believe that. So, all right, we'll move on to the next game. Liberty, Oklahoma State. Liberty, a very spunky team during the year, very poor conference. Hard to judge really how good they are. Oklahoma State -7.5. Where are you going here?
I'm going Oak State -7.5. I think Oklahoma State really got snubbed on their seeding. They're a rising, surging team right now. Cade Cunningham playing like one of the best basketball players in the country, and I think they're going to take care of business.
Yeah, I was very torn on this. I think this Liberty team's really good, but I don't think they can hang with Oklahoma State for 2 halves. I expect this to be close going at halftime, but I think Oklahoma State will eventually wear them down and expand this lead out. So I think Oklahoma State covers this 7.5. All right, we'll move into the 2:15. Houston -20 versus Cleveland State, who stole my Wright State spot, who I was going to have upsetting teams in the tournament. But Cleveland State nonetheless is in here. Houston -20. Where are you going here?
I'm taking Cleveland State plus the 20. Interesting thing about Cleveland State, according to Ken Palm, they're number 1 in luck rating. So be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, winning that conference tournament was luck enough by Wright State losing to Oakland in the first round.
Plus, I like that guy that looks like he's 50 years old on their team. So I'm going to take them plus the 20.
Yeah, I'm taking the 20 here too. While Houston is a very good team, they tend to have stretches where they don't score, and they'll just pack this defense in. Cleveland State won't score, and this will probably be a 15-point win here. 20 just seems like way too bloated a spread. All right, I think we're going to battle on this one. The North Texas versus the Purdue Boilermakers. Purdue 7.5-point favorites. Where are you going on this one?
You're always hating on my Purdue love.
I think you had some sort of Gene Katie fascination in your youth or something.
I'm going with Purdue here. I think they're a solid team when they're on, and I think they'll come out and take care of business, at least in the first round.
Yeah, I'm going to ride North Texas here.
I know you are.
7.5. I've been riding them all conference tournament. That let me down a little bit because I wanted Western Kentucky in here, but North Texas has really been playing well. So I'm going to take the 7.5, not to mention I really, really dislike Purdue. This might be Gene Katie hate based off of it. But no, North Texas plus the 7.5 for me. Another interesting matchup here. Syracuse, San Diego State -3. Which way are you leaning here?
This one's really tough for me. I went back and forth on this before our bracket show quite a bit. I'm a big fan of experience when it comes to the tournament, and Jim Boeheim is as experienced as it comes. But I like this San Diego State team. I'm going to take San Diego State -3.
Yeah, I think there's a little value here. I think San Diego State's probably a better team here than Syracuse. So I like the -3. I'm going with San Diego State -3 as well. Next up, Morehead State, who eliminated our Belmont, got the automatic bid. West Virginia, -13. Where are you leaning this way?
I'm going to take West Virginia -13. This Morehead State got here by happenstance. I don't think by any means they were the best team out of that conference. And I think West Virginia is going to blow them out.
Yeah, I think West Virginia will cripple them and grind them into dust here. I think the next round matchup versus San Diego State or Syracuse will be the much more entertaining matchup. -13, I think West Virginia covers pretty easy here. A good one coming up next. I think I know where both of us are going on this one. Winthrop versus Villanova. Villanova, 6.5-point favorites. Which way are you going here?
I don't understand why this hasn't moved. This Villanova team is a shell of what it was a month ago. And they just have – I think they've lost 4 out of their last 5 games going into the tournament. And this Winthrop team scores a lot of points. I really like them. Getting 6.5, yes, I'm going to take it all day long.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't understand why this I don't know if it's because their name is funny or something, but this Winthrop team is a very good basketball team and really has been a very good basketball team for about the last 30 years. They've come out of that Big South numerous times. So they aren't going to be scared off by the moment here, and they're going to smell blood in this Villanova team. So I'm going with the 6.5 here, and I wouldn't be scared to lay money line on this one either. I think there's value here to take that upset at 6.5. That's a whole lot of points for a team that probably right now is just as good as Villanova with the way Villanova has been hurt. All right. Interesting one coming up. A favorite of yours early in the season and a favorite of yours riding through the tournament. Georgetown, Colorado. Colorado, 5.5-point favorites here.
Yeah, we spoke about this during the tournament show, and Georgetown. I think they've found a little bit of magic here. They're clicking. There's something to be said about getting that momentum right as the tournament season hits, and they're riding that wave. And I'm going to ride them as well. Georgetown plus 5.5. Yeah,
I think Georgetown plus 5.5 is probably really, really good value here. So they've been really playing well. Probably a couple games right before the tournament, and once that tournament hit, they just really cleaned up through there. So Georgetown getting 5.5 versus a very weird Colorado team. Would it stun me if they won by 20? No. Would it stun me if they lose by 20? No. So I don't know what we're getting, but I'll go with Georgetown here plus the 5.5. All right. Next up, North Carolina, Greensboro. Florida State minus 11. Where are you going with the Noles and Greensboro?
I think we're going opposite directions here. I'm going to go Florida State minus 11. I think the caliber of athletes they have on this team are just going to dominate UNC Greensboro.
Yeah, I'm beginning to get a little scared of this one. If you could tell me that Greensboro's threes are going to be dropping, I'd feel much, much more confident because they literally have no chance of being more athletic than this Florida State team.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Florida State is just, just way larger and going to rebound every basket, I think.
My only hope is they're draining threes. Now, if we get a Davidson-style old school, just three-point barrage, we could get it done. I'm going to begrudgingly take the 11, but I'm losing faith in this one very quickly, and it is not on my best bets for the week. So UNCG plus 11, mostly because I like their style of play, but I'm becoming more and more tentative on that one. Next up, Eastern Washington, Kansas 10.5-point favorites here.
Yeah, I think, barring any COVID struggles, I think Kansas is going to win here pretty handily. I'm going to take Kansas minus the 10.5.
Yeah, I think they probably cover this 10.5, other than maybe they don't play one or two guys who are supposed to play, but Eastern Washington, an entertaining team, but I think Kansas will put the grips on them and lock them down. So Kansas 10.5 here. All right. I think we know where we're going with this one. St. Bonaventure's LSU. LSU 1.5-point favorites. Which way are you leaning?
I think we've said this before. This is probably my favorite game of the first round of competition. This is the best matchup, I think, across all 32 games, not counting the first four. But I like the Bonnies here, plus 1.5. I think they're going to slow this game way down. It's going to drive LSU nuts because they're not going to be able to play their style of basketball unless they just stand to the side and let the Bonnies go to the basket, which with LSU's defense is entirely possible. But the Bonnies' efficiency and just their pace, I think their pace is like over 300 and Ken Palm ratings. So I think they're going to make this game their style and they're going to take care of business. So I like them. I'm taking the money line here.
Yeah, I'm going with St. Bonaventure's plus the 1.5 as well. I think that was probably pretty obvious considering I have them as a tournament winner overall. All right, we'll move on to UC Santa Barbara, Creighton. Very interesting game. Should be high scoring. -7 for Creighton. Any hangover for Creighton after a very, very weird tournament final loss?
I still don't know if they didn't lose that game on purpose. It doesn't make any sense at all. It confused me.
Well, it confused me that they scored 45 points. They usually have that with about 4 minutes left in the first half. So,
but I'm going to go with Creighton here, -7. I think they're a really solid team, and hopefully we'll get back to their normal for a game or two because there's a matchup I'm really wanting to see.
Yeah. Before that very poor final, Creighton was cruising through the tournament. So I'm going to write Creighton -7 as well. Next up, Rick Pitino and Iona versus Alabama, -17. Rick Pitino have any magic here for an upset?
No, I like Alabama here, -17.
Yeah, I think Alabama obliterates them. This was a very, very poor conference, and they really didn't even play that many games. So I think Rick gets lit up here, and Alabama really, really dominates. All right. Grand Canyon University versus Iowa. Iowa, 14.5-point favorites. Where are you going?
I think this is a no-brainer, Iowa, -14.5. The way they score the ball, I'm surprised this isn't near 20.
I'm going the other way. I'm riding Grand Canyon minus the 14.5. I don't think Iowa's defense will be able to slow down the Antelopes here. I think this will be a high-scoring affair. I also would like that over 144.5. I think this game gets really up and down and really up there. So I like the 14.5 for Grand Canyon. All right, Maryland, Uconn. I think this is one of the more interesting games of the first round. You were really hyped on Uconn there at the end. They were really playing well. Maryland started to come around there at the end. Which way are you going? Uconn 2.5-point favorite.
This one really got me torn up too. This matchup, I like both of these teams. I really got big on UConn once Book Knight came back healthy. Uh, but I think defensively, Maryland's got what it takes to win this game. I'm going to take Maryland plus 2.5.
Yeah, I'm going the other way here. I'm riding near the UConn here. I thought they were playing really well at the end of the season, so I'm going to take UConn minus the 2.5 and see if they have a little magic in them. All right, good matchup. Ohio, Virginia. Virginia is 7.5-point favorites. What are you thinking here?
So on my bracket, I took Virginia here, but I'm going to go with Ohio in the 7.5 here. I think they've got some very talented players on this team. This is a very good Ohio team.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that 7.5 is a little high too for a Virginia team who notoriously struggles to score. So
also having COVID struggles.
Yes. Also, I don't think they've actually even practiced for wherever the ACC tournament
They've
was.
had Zoom practices.
I don't quite know how that works for basketball, but sure. If I could have Zoomed in practices my whole life, I probably would have had a much better career. All right, Mizzou, Oklahoma +1. Interesting game as well. I don't think it'll be pretty, but where are you going, Oklahoma, Mizzou?
Yeah, interesting matchup, but gosh, I hope no one watches this game. It's going to be terrible. But I'm going to go with Oklahoma +1 here. Though I'm not as confident as I was when I first picked Oklahoma, just because Konzo likes to go on little runs where they're dogs in tournament play. But I'm going to go with Oklahoma +1. They're the more talented team.
Yeah, I've been wishy-washy on this one all week. I think I took Mizzou in my bracket, but I think I'm going to lean Oklahoma here as well, minus the 1. I'm just going to trust Lon Kruger can get him out of the first round here, but this one really, really tough to pick here. All right, next up, Abilene Christian, Texas. Texas -9. Where are you leaning?
Texas -9.
I'm going with Texas -9 as well. As much as I love the Abilene Christian and that Southland Conference, I think Texas will wear them down and be able to cover that 9. All right, last up, VCU, Oregon -5. Do you have a feel on this one?
Well, a little over a week ago, this would have been a very easy pick for me. Oregon was really surging, starting to play some solid basketball. Looked like they were going to run through that Pac-12 tournament and then just laid an egg against their rivals, Oregon State. But I'm going to take Oregon -5 here versus VCU.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go VCU here plus the 5. I just didn't like the way Oregon looked in that Pac-12 tournament. I think this VCU team is pretty solid. You could really convince me either way on this one, though. But when I'm like that, I lean towards the point, and I like the +5. So I'm going to go VCU here over Oregon and the 5. All right. So what do you have for your best bets of the first round of March Madness?
I've got quite a bit. Let's see. I've got 11 that I really like.
Oh, my, 11. He's breaking out the bankroll for the first round of the NCAA tournament.
I think there's some money to be had here. I think there's a lot of people that haven't watched as much basketball this year. The odds are kind of all over the place. First off, we both love this one. I like Winthrop +6.5 versus Villanova. Like I said, you also said money line would be good here too. I've taken the 6.5. I may get a money line on there too, just because I'm really confident that Winthrop's going to win this game.
Yeah, definitely. Winthrop is one of mine as well at the +6.5. I'll probably be dipping into the money line on that one as well.
Next up, I'm going with Loyola Chicago -6. I completely turned around where I was at because I was riding that Georgia Tech. They won me some money winning that tournament. They had a few things fall their way, but without their best player, they don't stand a chance in this one.
Yeah.
Next up tonight, Wichita State +2 over Drake.
Oh, really like game action.
I really like this pick. I think that's a obvious pick. Just the caliber of teams Wichita State's gone up against all year is just dwarfs anybody that Drake's played this season, and they're going to be ready for this tournament play.
Yeah, definitely.
North Carolina -1.5 over Wisconsin. We're both big North Carolina fans, so I'm going to take that matchup. which I don't know if we went through that one in our other picks, did we?
They pulled the line when I was putting these up, so we didn't have a line when I pulled these down.
Okay. I thought we had skipped it earlier, but I like North Carolina here. I think they're playing very good basketball, and I'm going to take them in pretty much a pick 'em over Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I'm going with my Oral Roberts plus 15.5.
Oh my, his birds of prey love comes into play.
I think the way they score the ball, they're gonna keep up with this Ohio State team, and I may dabble a little in the money line there. I think it's plus like 1,100, 1,200, something like that right now.
If that one hits, I'm getting you an Oral Roberts hoodie to wear around town.
Up next, I got like Oklahoma State minus 7.5. I think they're just going to come out and completely dominate this Liberty team. I like Georgetown plus 5.5 versus Colorado. I like Creighton minus 7 versus Santa Barbara. I'm going to go with Iowa minus 14.5 versus Grand Canyon. Oregon minus 5 versus VCU. And finally, Kansas minus 10.5 versus Eastern Washington. Those I really like. I've got picks on all of them.
All right. I'm going to start out with Utah State plus the 4.5 versus Texas Tech. Just going to ride this Utah State team. I think they're really good, so I have a feel on them. We went with North Texas plus the 7.5 versus Purdue. We're going to take San Diego State minus the 3 versus Syracuse. We already said Winthrop plus the 6.5 versus Villanova. I'm going to go with Grand Canyon plus the 14.5 versus Iowa. And finally, right in Ohio, plus the 7.5 for Virginia is my best bets of the weekend. So be sure to follow us on greenlightnetwork.org. Be sure to watch our March Madness bracket show. You can see us take our brackets all the way through to the championship game. Dynamite David, where can we find you?
Well, first off, I want to say don't forget it's not too late to join our bracket challenge. I don't think those games have started yet. You've got to, well, I don't know if the play-in games are a part of our bracket challenge.
You can take the bracket challenge runs till the first game. I think that's Florida. So you have till noon tomorrow.
So look on our Facebook page or greenlightnetwork.org to join up on that. And you can follow me on Twitter at GLN Dynamite_D.
Yes. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at greenlightnetwork.org, YouTube at Greenlight Network. I'm GLN Champ 5 on Twitter and Instagram. That's our show, and we're out.